dear learners. Today we are here to discuss the second topic of Module 5 of our MOOC course on early childhood education. The topic which we are going to discuss today is different methods for early childhood education. In this video, we are presently going to discuss the four methods: Playway method, activity-based method, Montessori method, and kindergarten method. We mainly focus on these four methods of early childhood education. So first is the Playway method. So Caldwell Cook, he is the pioneer of the Playway method, which emphasizes learning through play. It was mentioned that children, when they play and they learn, they memorize well and they develop a sense of curiosity, which also leads to understanding, which also leads to more learning. So Caldwell Cook, who was the pioneer, he introduced the Playway method and emphasizes learning through play. So what is the benefits of play? What happens when children learn through play? So play enhances motor skills, imagination, and creativity. It also helps children express themselves and learn through experiences. Now there are some characteristics of Playway method. Let us look into the characteristics of the Playway method. So what is the first one? The Playway method is child-centered. Playway method always focuses on child's interests, needs, and talents. Next, the Playway method is joyful learning. See, we all know when we introduce play in our learning, it always becomes joyous. The children learn happily. With a very happy, understanding method takes place. They don't have any kind of pressure. So Playway method always brings a joyful learning environment in the early childhood education system. So here learning happens through enjoyable and creative activities like games, storytelling, and role playing. Another characteristics of Playway method is active participation. So children here actively participate and learn by doing, experimenting, and discovering. Again, the most important thing of characteristics of the Playway method is what? Here holistic development of the child takes place. So what is the holistic development? The Playway method promotes overall development including physical, cognitive, social, and emotional growth of the child. So overall holistic development takes place in the Playway method. Now what are the principles that are adopted while introducing the Playway method in the early childhood education? The first principle to be followed is learning by doing. The children actively participate in hands-on activities, engaging their senses for meaningful learning. Then comes the child-centered approach. This method focuses on interests, needs, and abilities of each child. The third is the freedom of expression. Children are here free to express their thoughts, their emotions through play without any restriction. And the fourth is the holistic development. This method promotes physical, social, cognitive, and emotional growth. So these are the four principles of the Playway method. Now what is the significance of this method? What happens when we adopt Playway method in the early childhood stage? So when we adopt the Playway method in early childhood stage, the comprehensive growth of the child takes place. First is the comprehensive growth. The Playway method promotes physical, cognitive, and social development. Again, the Playway method also helps in the development of creativity and imagination. How? It encourages children to think creatively and express themselves freely. Again, one of the significant of the Playway method is what? Individual differences. This method accommodates learners' unique traits, ensuring personalized training because they learn through play. Again, the fourth significance is it is stress-free environment. The Playway method creates a supportive and stress-free learning environment. The second method which is adopted in the early childhood education is activity-based method. So in activity-based method of teaching, what are the things actually followed in activity-based method? First is the active participation. When there will be activity-based, you can see in the diagram itself, the students are engaged. They are actively participating. So active participation, the word activity itself, it determines that the children are actively participating in their learning process. So first is what in the activity-based method is active participation. Children actively participate in hands-on activities, engaging both mentally and physically. Then learning by doing. The method encourages students to solve problems, explore patterns and analyze information independently. Third is child-friendly tools. The activity methods use games, rhymes, songs and drawing to teach concepts. So these are the steps followed in activity-based method of teaching. Now, what is the importance of activity-based method? Why we should adopt activity-based method? Why we should apply activity-based method in early childhood stage? So, one of the most important thing is meaningful learning. The activity-based method fosters meaningful and creative learning experiences. It also develops self-confidence. The second thing is that it develops self-confidence. The group activities, it promotes teamwork and understanding, boosting self-confidence. The third is positive learning environment. So in activity-based method, when all the children are actively participating, they have a positive learning environment. So activities help students and both teachers from positive connection, creating a supportive environment. The fourth is adaptable approach. The activity-based method is adaptable, allowing for the participatory teaching of wide range of subjects. So these are the 4 points of importance why we should adopt activity-based method in early childhood education. Now, if we are telling about activity-based method, it is important we should adopt it. What are the kinds of activities that can be given in the early childhood education? It can be categorized under 3 categories. One is exploratory. You can see from the diagram itself. Why exploratory? You just see the diagram. The children are planting trees by themselves. They are exploring the nature. They are planting trees under sunlight, under open space. So they are exploring the environment by themselves. They are learning how to plant trees. They are learning how trees grows by themselves. So these are exploration. So children should provide that space for exploratory activity. They should be provided exploratory activities. Again, in the second category is the constructive. We should give constructive activities. So you can see from the diagram itself, the children are learning to build blocks. They are building the blocks, they are building house, they are making some kind of things which are very constructive. They are building the blocks by using their own mind. They are constructing, they are building like toy trains, they are building like cars, they are constructing by their own self, own mind. So that is the constructive activities. And third is the expressional activity. We should teach children to be expressional while learning. How? You can see the diagram. The child is taking 2 pictures. So there they also learn what is the happy thing and what are the sad things. So the mode of expression, happiness, sad, feeling, sharing things with others. So these are all expressional. So expressional activities should also be included in the activity-based method of teaching. So these are the kinds of activities which help in the learning experiences of children in the early childhood education. Next, what is the role of teacher in early childhood education by adopting activity-based method of teaching? So the first role is to be a planner. See, we cannot give an activity randomly to our children. For their stage, we as a teacher, the teacher should plan what kind of activity can help in the development of the child. We cannot randomly give any kind of activity to that small children. So a teacher should be a good planner. She or he should plan the activity which will help in their holistic development, which will help in their development of mind, which will help in their motor skill development. So they should be a planner first. So the first role of teacher to be a good planner, to give good activity to the children. Second is the good organizer. See, while giving the activity is not sufficient, while planning the activity is not sufficient, a teacher should also organize the activity. That means, suppose a teacher is, for example, suppose a teacher is going to give an activity of planting a tree. So the teacher cannot just take the child to the field and give an opportunity to plant a tree. So she or he should also organize the environment, the space, the area, the surrounding, which should be safety for the children. So everything should be in an organized way. So the teacher's role is planner. The teacher role is also an organizer. Again, there is a role of teacher as a facilitator. The teacher will teach the children, will show the path, that is the facilitator. The teacher will show the path to the children, and the children will go through that path and they will acquire learning. So the teachers are also facilitator in the activity-based method of teaching. Last but not the least, the role of teacher is knowledge imparter. See, we cannot just give the children the activity and the learning process completed. No. While giving activity, the teacher, as a teacher, they should also provide sufficient knowledge regarding the activity, and that activity will lead to their mental development, will lead to their social development, will lead to their motor development. So they are a teacher, as a teacher, they should also impart knowledge related to that activity. So teacher here plays a crucial role in guiding and directing students' learning, serving as a planners, organizers, facilitators, and knowledge imparters. The third method which we are going to discuss here is the Montessori method. So Maria Montessori, an Italian educator and physician, she developed the Montessori method in the early 1900s. It is a child-centered educational method based on scientific observation of children. So it is also a child-centered method. The Montessori method helps in developing the whole child. Similarly to the other method, it is also a method which helps in the holistic development of a child. Her purpose was to develop the child's entire personality using a system based on the spontaneous use of human intellect. The educational style emphasized unrestricted activities in a learning atmosphere. So it develops the child as a whole. What are the principles of Montessori education? The principles that are adopted in a Montessori method of education. So first is movement and learning. So movement has a significant impact on learning and cognition as youngsters develop self-discipline while investigating the surroundings through deliberate movements. The second is the freedom of choice. Children have the option to choose their own work, which promotes independence and allows them to learn by their own speed. And third is the intrinsic motivation. So Montessori method always helps in the development of intrinsic motivation. Here the motivation comes through insight. The children want to learn something which comes from inside. So the absence of external rewards promotes intrinsic motivation as youngsters learn for its own sake. They learn for their own interest rather than for any kind of reward. So these are the principles of Montessori education. Now, what is the role of teacher in Montessori education? In the Montessori approach or in the Montessori method, the teacher serves as a guide or facilitator rather than a traditional educator. In Montessori method, what happens? The teacher actually doesn't teach the child through books. They give some techniques, they utilize some techniques, some methods through which they become guide. The teacher become guide. They also become facilitator to the children. So their mission to monitor each child's growth, provide appropriate learning resources and foster an environment of independence, curiosity and self-directed learning. Here teachers provide mild support as needed, but they stress developing a child's autonomy and confidence. They also provide a respectful, tailored learning environment that accommodates each child's pace, interest and developmental stage, allowing them to explore and discover things at their own rate. So here the children learns at their own pace. They are not given any kind of stress to complete the things, to learn the things, but they learn by their own self. They learn by their own interest. So there is no stressful environment is given in the Montessori method of teaching in the early childhood stage. Now, what's the environment? How the environment is there in the Montessori learning? So, the Montessori method requires the teachers to prepare and organize items that assist learning while also establishing an environment conducive to discovery. So, teachers devote to obtaining, creating and upgrading instructional resources while keeping the classroom welcoming and exciting. The classroom is mostly student driven. That means the students are already there in the Montessori classroom and they learn by themselves. They enjoy their learning system. So it is student driven, with students learning at their own speed and deciding how to interact with the curriculum. Rather than mandating what students should study, teachers guide students as they make their own decisions and pursue their own interests. So that here students learn by their own interest. Their intrinsic motivation is given much importance in Montessori method of learning. Then Montessori learning activities. So in the Montessori method, stress a child learning environment in which the teacher, child and environment collaborate to encourage independent development. Children select activities based on their interest, utilizing hands-on items such as sandpapers, letters and maths beads to engage all five senses, that is sight, touch, hearing, smell and movement. So here 5 sense organs development is also given importance in Montessori method of learning. Montessori provides active learning through sensory motor exercises as opposed to standard schools that rely on lectures and worksheets. The teacher's duty is to advise rather than instruct, allowing students to learn at their own speed and accept responsibility for their education. The fourth method which we are going to discuss here is the kindergarten method. So Friedrich Froebel, a German educator and pioneer of early childhood educational reform, believed that every child had full educational potential at birth and that an appropriate educational environment was required to encourage the child to grow and develop optimally. Froebel founded the kindergarten, a school for children aged 4 and 5 that can be found throughout the world. Froebel aimed to instill the spirit of play in educational institutions. So what are the fundamental principles behind the kindergarten method? First is learning by play. Froebel saw play as the most spiritual and natural activities for children, encouraging joy, calm and relaxation. He believed that play was the best way for children to learn because it was their natural type of work. The second is the social participation. Froebel felt that when children interact socially, their self-activity becomes constructive. Children can only develop their own activities inside society, and collective games encourages collaboration, sympathy, and unity, preparing youngsters to be socially responsible adults. The third is the creative principle. So creativity, a natural need, is linked to self-activity. Froebel emphasizes the harmonious development of head, soul, and hand. He urged for the integration of, or he argued for the integration of thought and action, opposing intellectualism and verbalism in favor of hands-on learning. So these are the fundamental principles of kindergarten method. In the educational environment of kindergarten, the Froebel created a set of gifts and activities for use in kindergarten. And the Froebel gifts included the following items: 6 soft colored balls, a wooden sphere, cube, and cylinder. A large cube divided into 8 smaller cubes. A large cube divided into 8 oblong blocks. A large cube divided into 21 whole, 6 half, and 12 quarter cubes. A large cube that divided into 18 whole oblongs, 3 divided lengthwise, 3 divided breadthwise. So these are some of the things which are included in Froebel gifts items, through which the kindergarten method, the education system of kindergarten method takes place. There are also activities like various materials. They also prepare various materials for drawing, performing, embroidery, paper cutting, weaving or braiding, paper folding. So these are the activities which are given in the educational environments of kindergarten schools or in the kindergarten method. So these are the overall 4 methods which we have discussed here. The first is the Playway method, then the activity-based method, and third is the Montessori method, and fourth is the kindergarten method. So all these 4 methods are the important methods of early childhood education. We have also discussed here the principles of all the 4 methods and why it is important. The importance of all the 4 methods we have discussed in this part of our video. Thank you.
The idea of the whole child pays respect to the fact that there are many aspects of human potential that grades can't measure. Besides curiosity and intelligence, children may want to develop creativity, passion, resilience, intuition, confidence, generosity, mindfulness, humor, and many, many other important traits. Edith Ackerman's theory of the whole child development identifies 4 natural urges that drive our growth throughout childhood into adult life: being me, us, the world, and human creations. Each of these 4 urges can be divided into 2 subcategories. To understand them better, let's look at the theory from the perspective of a young girl. Being me is about learning to use my body and exploring my mind. The ability to control my body allows me to discover the world, and as a result, I can get to know where I'm at and who I am. By using my body, I put my 5 senses to work. This is how I learn to walk, speak, listen, and develop healthy habits. Soon, I might impress older folks with my clear speech, good posture, and other physical capabilities. Knowing myself helps me to develop a voice in my home and find my place in this world. It allows me to learn what I like, what I don't like, and what potential is still inside of me. By knowing who I am, I can understand my own subjectivity and form an identity I am proud of. Us is about how I relate to friends, family, and strangers, and my understanding of their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Let me begin with relating to others. As a child, I seek the love, attention, and respect from my parents. but I also have a fundamental natural urge to have social interactions with others. That means I need to learn to share and care so I can belong. One day, I want to become a respected member of a group while keeping my own identity. Understanding others is another thing. I want to learn about my friends and their emotions. Intentions, ways of thinking, and behaviors interest me. I want to learn to move away from my own limited point of view and integrate other people's perspective to develop a more complex understanding of morality and social problems. Making sense of the world means figuring out how things work. That's why we play. Through exploration, I quench my thirst for seeking logic and discover this universe. Adults call it exploring and investigating. We call it play. That's how we learn. Sometimes it gets messy, but by playing, I realize that some things change while others don't. In other words, I learn how things work. Later, I can become a real scientist who plays with big ideas and theories and explains the workings of this world to you. I am seeking logic all the time. Us children don't just want to discover how things work, we also look for consistency where there is little. To make sense of this world, we filter, interpret, and reconstruct what we experience into mental models. I think adults call them schema. This urge for order helps me to reorganize what I learn, infer rules, and apply fundamental laws in real life. Human Creations is about me being able to imagine alternatives in my head. If I can image something new, I am able to go and actually create it. Imaginating is one of humans' greatest achievements. Without imagination, all innovation would happen by chance. That's why I need fantasy and a lot of free time to play pretend. This way, I will learn to think out of the box. Through creations, I can express my thoughts and bring my imagination to life, and there are hundreds of ways to do so. I can create atmosphere with my voice, ideas with my head, and pictures that I paint with my hand. If I am given the space, I can create cozy rooms beneath the kitchen table, or one day, when I'm older, design an entire house. Edith Ackermann was born in Switzerland in 1946. After graduating, she became a protégé of Jean Piaget. At MIT Media Lab, where she spent most of her career, she was exploring the interactions between play, learning, and design. Whole child development, also known as holistic education, seeks to engage children in the whole of their being and potential. It assumes that each child arrives at this world with their own set of talents and interests that are to some degree completely independent from the child's upbringing. Some refer to this whole as the mind, body, and soul. The Swiss educator Pestalozzi referred to it as the hand, the heart, and the head. And further still, many others try to sum up a child in 4, 8 skills, social, emotional, and so forth. But does any such division actually pay respect to the whole? Does it capture a sense of humor, an appreciation of the arts, or the ability to be mindful? For this reason, the work of Ackermann offers a more wholesome perspective. What are your thoughts? Please share them in the comments below.